Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're tackling something that literally every single parent, teacher, or guardian out there can relate to. We are going to decode, and I mean completely unpack, some of the absolute most frustrating childhood behaviors you can imagine. I mean, we've all been there, right? You're staring at a kid acting out, just pulling your hair out, wondering what on earth is going on in their head. But what if I told you that those moments of sheer pull-your-hair-out frustration are actually hiding something incredible? Let's get right into it.
It's a universal exhaustion. You're dealing with children who seem, frankly, completely irrational, insanely stubborn, or just entirely disruptive to your everyday adult life. We look at them acting out, being fussy, refusing to listen, acting in ways that make zero sense to us, and our immediate gut reaction is to label them as naughty, or disruptive, or just plain disobedient. It completely drains our energy, and it tests our patience every single day.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why do we adults instantly jump to scolding instead of just taking a beat to figure out the root of the behavior? Well, there are four main reasons. First, it's just a simple lack of understanding of what's actually driving the kid. Second, let's be real, we have literally zero time in our busy lives to sit back and psychoanalyze their every move. Third, we just don't have the sheer patience required when we're in the heat of the moment. And fourth, pure annoyance. We just get irritated, and that irritation immediately throws up a brick wall between us and the child's true potential.
But here is the massive hook for our explainer today, 15. That is the number of years Harvard University researchers spent studying child development to uncover this sort of secret formula for raising highly successful individuals. And this massive 15-year study, it proved that by immediately shutting down and scolding these so-called difficult behaviors, we might actually be silencing a potential genius. No joke. These quirks, they aren't just random acts of rebellion, they are deeply ingrained, crucial developmental signals.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The Harvard Genius Study, 2. The Toy Dismantler, 3. The Relentless Arguer, 4. The Meticulous Slow Worker, 5. The Daydreaming Creative, and finally, 6. Nurturing Hidden Potential.
All right, Section 1, the Harvard Genius Study.
It's absolutely crucial to note right off the bat that this framework we're talking about isn't just guesswork, and it isn't just wishful thinking from some overly optimistic parents. This is established, rigorous research on unlocking a child's hidden potential. The core finding of this entire 15-year study is beautifully summarized by this idea. These children are not a nuisance, but a genius waiting to be supported. The research suggests that if you can just provide proper support rather than immediate, reflexive punishment, these difficult kids can absolutely flourish. Instead of squashing their quirks, if we adults guide them appropriately, these children have the potential to become exceptional, standout individuals on the world stage. They really aren't nuisances. They're basically unpolished gems.
Section 2, the Toy Dismantler.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast in perspective. You know exactly the child I'm talking about, the one who gets a brand new, super expensive electronic toy for their birthday, and literally an hour later, it is in 15 different pieces all over the living room floor. They constantly take apart every single device they can get their little hands on. Now, as adults, we see destruction, right? We see a mischievous kid breaking our hard-earned stuff. But the hidden reality? This child is actually engaging in complex internal structural analysis. They are tearing things apart specifically to figure out how they work. It's a massive flashing indicator of mechanical aptitude and three-dimensional thinking. In fact, a lot of these kids can actually put the items back together perfectly and sometimes even better than they were before.
So, what actually happens if we stop yelling at them for completely dismantling the TV remote and instead give them safe things to build and take apart? Well, if that mechanical curiosity is encouraged and properly channeled, this child is on a brilliant trajectory to become a highly skilled future engineer.
Moving on to Section 3, the Relentless Arguer.
Let's be entirely honest here, it is absolutely exhausting dealing with a child who constantly argues or asks why to every single thing you tell them to do. You say it's bedtime, they ask why. You say put on your shoes, they demand a logical justification for wearing shoes inside. The adult view is to just see this child as stubborn, completely unreasonable, and actively defying authority. But the hidden reality is actually fascinating. This is the sound of their analytical thinking rapidly developing. They aren't just trying to make you mad, they are actively testing logic. So instead of getting super frustrated and dropping the classic because I said so, parents should really use these moments, give them actual references, provide real reasons, and use this opportunity to train the child to debate politely and logically.
Nurturing this incredibly inquisitive nature is a total game changer.
By teaching them how to channel all that constant questioning into structured, respectful debates, you are literally laying the groundwork for brilliant, persuasive communicators, public speakers, or leading researchers down the line.
Section 4. The meticulous, slow worker.
Think of the kid who writes their homework out letter by agonizing letter, seemingly lacking any energy, any enthusiasm, or even a shred of urgency to get the job done. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive misunderstanding. The adult view just screams lazy, slow, or unenthusiastic. But the hidden reality? Their brain is actually operating in an energy-saving mode because it is carefully, meticulously processing incredibly high levels of detail. They aren't lazy at all, they are just incredibly detail-oriented. And because of this, they require a completely different style of management than a kid who just rushes through their tasks.
The source material offers 3 highly practical steps for managing this specific trait. First, don't rush them. Barking at them to hurry up just causes anxiety and shatters their deep focus. Second, use a timer. This helps them visually understand the passage of time without feeling constantly pressured by an angry adult hovering over them. And third, break the work into smaller, manageable steps. This helps the meticulous child systematically develop their time management skills while still totally honoring their need to be thorough.
Section 5. The Daydreaming Creative.
Now, this covers the kids who seemingly just zone out, staring off into space right in the middle of a lesson. It also includes the kids who have incredibly intense emotional reactions to seemingly minor things, like crying hysterically because an ant got stepped on outside. The adult perception here can be pretty harsh. We quickly label them as easily distracted, absent-minded, or just way too sensitive. But the hidden reality is profound. When they're spaced out, they are often processing incredibly deep imagery and utilizing a vast imagination. When they cry over that ant, they're displaying unbelievably high emotional sensitivity and empathy. These aren't flaws to be fixed. These are profound traits that desperately need adult validation, not our ridicule. When you actively support this deep emotional capacity and this vast imagination, you aren't coddling them, you are cultivating them. Kids with these specific traits are incredibly well suited for highly creative, empathetic, and culturally impactful careers. We're talking about our future artists, our writers, and our humanities researchers.
Section 6. Nurturing Hidden Potential. Let's move to and see how this builds into our conclusion. Understanding these 4 behaviors is really just step 1. Step 2 requires a fundamental mindset shift from us, the guardians, the parents, the educators. We literally have to change how we react in the moment. So the crucial point is establishing these new rules of engagement based on the research. 1. You must exercise immense patience. 2. Always use reason rather than relying on authority alone. 3. Stop the immediate, emotional scolding. Seriously, just take a breath before you react. And 4. Observe your child carefully to understand exactly why they're doing what they're doing so you can foster their specific type of growth.
Ultimately, it all comes down to a choice. A choice we have to make in a fraction of a second when our patience is completely tested. The very next time you see a toy in pieces on the floor, or you face a barrage of whys, or you watch your kids stare off into the clouds, ask yourself this: will you scold a nuisance, or will you take a breath, shift your perspective, and raise a genius? The choice is entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this helps you see those frustrating moments in an entirely new, brilliant light.